ఇంటర్మీడియట్ విద్యారంగంలో అగ్రగామి మన ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్. ఐఐటి, జేఈఈ అయినా, నీట్ అయినా తిరుగులేని విద్యా సంస్థ ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్.
Right. Good morning. Welcome back. The next problem which we are going to study is an electromagnetic radiation of wavelength 220 nanometers, 220 nanometers is sufficient to ionize a sodium atom, one single sodium atom. Calculate the ionization energy in kilojoules per mole. So, to ionize one atom, radiation of this wavelength is sufficient. But we have to find ionization energy in kilojoules per mole. Per mole means for Avogadro number of, to ionize Avogadro number of sodium atoms. So, let us try to collect the data first. So, what we are doing is we are taking some sodium metal, right, and light radiation is falling on it. So, it is undergoing ionization. The wavelength associated is 220 nanometers, which is 2.2 into 10 power minus 7 meters, 2.2 into 10 power minus 7 meters. So, to find ionization energy, first we have to find the energy associated with one photon. So, let us calculate energy of a photon. Energy of a photon E equal to hc by lambda. So, in SI units, because the required value is in kilojoules per mole. So, H, Planck's constant 6.625 into 10 power minus 34 joules second. Velocity of light 3 into 10 power 8 meters second inverse. Wavelength must be substituted in which units? See here, meters. Wavelength must be substituted in meters. So, lambda in meters. Already we have calculated wavelength in meters, that is 2.2 into 10 power minus 7 meters. So, what I am doing is I am directly substituting here. 2.2 into 10 power minus 7 meters. So, first let us cancel the units. Meter, second inverse. Leftover is joules. Joule is the energy of unit, so it is balanced. Right, this is 2.2 approximately 3 times. 3 into 3, 9, approximately 9 into 10 power minus 19 joules. So, this is the energy of one photon that can ionize one sodium atom. So, to ionize one sodium atom, how much energy we require? That is 9 into 10 power minus 19 joules. To ionize one sodium atom, we require a photon of energy 9 into 10 power minus joules of energy. So, now we have to find ionization energy of 1 mole. So, what is 1 mole? 1 mole is nothing but Avogadro number of atoms. In 1 mole there are Avogadro number of atoms. So, this is for 1 atom. For 2 atoms it will be 2 into that value. For 3 atoms 3 into that value. For Avogadro number of atoms, whatever the value you get, we call it as ionization energy, because 1 mole is nothing but Avogadro number of sodium atoms. So, ionization energy of sodium is equal to 6.023 into 10 power 23 9 into 10 power minus 19. So approximately 54, 23, 4. So okay, 540 kilojoules per mole. This is joules per mole. This is kilojoules per mole. Right. Let us study the next question. Calculate the wavelength of the radiation which would cause the photodissociation of chlorine molecule if Cl-Cl bond energy is 243 kilojoules per mole. In fact, this question is reverse of the previous one. Here bond energy is given, that means energy required to break 1 mole of chlorine molecules are given. We are supposed to find energy required to calculate to break the bond of one chlorine molecule. From that you have to find the wavelength associated with the photon. Suppose, so let us gather the information first, right. So photodissociation is nothing but the dissociation in the presence of light. So light radiation, right, we have to find the wavelength associated with each photon. For that you have to find energy required to break one chlorine molecule. So other information, bond energy. Bond energy of Cl is 243 kilojoules per mole. Per mole means energy required to break 1 mole of Cl bond. So this is for to break 1 mole of Cl, nothing but Avogadro number of molecules. You require 243 kilojoules to break 1 mole of Cl. 1 mole of Cl is nothing but Avogadro number of Cl molecules. So to break Avogadro number of Cl molecules, the energy required is 243 kilojoules. But we require energy to break for 1 Cl molecule. So for Avogadro number of chlorine molecule, this much amount of energy is necessary, but we require for 1 Cl molecule. So that is energy required is equal to 243 into 10 power 3 joules by Avogadro number. So this much amount of energy is required to break 1 Cl molecule. So that means this much energy the one photon should contain, because one photon is absorbed by the electron in the bond and gets excited, which results in the breaking of the bond. So the photon must at least contain this much amount of energy. So this is the energy which the photon must be associated with. So energy of photon is equal to hc by lambda, but we require wavelength, not energy. So let us find wavelength. Wavelength equal to hc by energy of photon. So how much energy the photon must possess? This much. So this is equal to hc by 243 into 10 power 3 by 6.023 into 10 power 3 joules. So this is in SI units, joules. So these two must be substituted in SI units. So let us substitute. H 6.625 into 10 power minus 34 joules second. Velocity of light 3 into 10 power 8 meter second inverse by 243 into 10 power 3 now you can see, let us cancel the units first. So I can cancel joules, second inverse, left over is meters. So wavelength you will get answer in meters, right? Okay. So upon further simplification, what you will get is approximately 492 nanometers. Or first I will write in meters, then you can write in nanometers. Right. So next topic is photoelectric effect. What is photoelectric effect? When light radiation falls on a metal surface, when light radiation falls on a metal surface, electrons are ejected from the metal. This process we call it as photoelectric effect or photoelectric emission. The emitted electrons we call them as photoelectrons. The emitted electrons we call them as photoelectrons. For example, suppose let us consider this is the metal. Let us consider this is the metal surface. When light radiation, so we know that radiation travels in the form of or emitted in the form of small energy packets which we call them as photons. When light radiation of suitable energy falls on metal surface, electrons are ejected from the surface. Electrons are ejected. This process we call it as photoelectric effect. The emitted electrons we call them as photoelectrons. The emitted electrons we call it as photoelectrons. Or if you connect it to a circuit, this is how we do it. So electrons flow through the circuit. Here we measure the current, right? So when light falls, suitable light falls on metal surface, electrons are ejected from the surface. So when you connect it to the circuit, these electrons move or carry the current, right? Which we call it as photoelectric current. The current is carried by the emitted electrons, or current flows in the circuit. So what we have studied, the meaning of photoelectric effect, the meaning of photoelectrons or photoelectric current. Now, what is really happening here? This light radiation, right, when it falls, that means the photons are striking on the surface of the metal. What is metal? Metal is matter. It is made up of metal atoms. Metal atoms are tightly packed with one another. This is the surface of the metal. All these are metal atoms. So metal atoms, I am taking one single atom, right? So you will have nucleus at the center. Say this is a valency electron, right? Valency electron, nucleus, atom. Between these two, there exists nuclear attraction force. If I want to remove the electron, I have to supply energy to overcome this nuclear attraction, because nucleus carries which charge? positive charge. Electron carries which charge? Negative charge. There is attraction between nucleus and electron, but the electron revolves as long as it revolves in the same orbit. It neither loses energy nor gains energy, but it is under the influence of nuclear attraction force. If I want to remove this electron, if I want to knock out this electron, I have to supply energy. For what I am supplying energy? To overcome the nuclear attraction force. So how we are supplying that energy? By allowing the light radiation to fall. So when light radiation falls, these photons are absorbed by the electron. So here the photon is absorbed by the electron. Electron absorbs the photon, gains energy. If it gains sufficient energy to overcome the nuclear attraction, then the electron will come out from the atom, which we call it as ionization. But here we are taking solid metal. Once again, when light falls, light is emitted in the form of small energy packets, which we call it as photons. So these are energy packets. Which we call them as photons or quantas. One electron at a given instant absorbs one photon. At a given instant, an electron can absorb only one photon. It has to absorb all the energy. So by that it gains energy. If it gains sufficient energy to overcome the nuclear attraction force, then the electron will come out. So here one point we need to understand. The photon must provide sufficient energy to overcome the nuclear attraction, then only it will come out. Once it comes out, then the process we call it as photoelectric effect. Remember, at a given instant an electron can absorb one photon. Right. Suppose, let us assume the energy required to overcome nuclear attraction is, say, some 5 calories. I repeat, the energy required to overcome nuclear attraction is 5 calories. Now, case 1, the energy associated with one photon is, say, some 5 calories. Then what happens? Now, this photon is absorbed by the electron. Electron gains 5 calories. That is sufficient enough to overcome the nuclear attraction. Therefore, the electron will come out. Second case. Say the energy associated with the photon is, the energy associated with photon is 2 calories. This is second case. Imagine that we are using a light radiation where the energy associated with each photon is 2 calories. Then what happens? This photon is absorbed by the electron, no doubt. Electron gains 2 calories of energy, let us assume. Is that energy sufficient enough? No. Why? The energy required to overcome nuclear attraction, we assumed it to be 5 calories. But the energy gained by the electron is 2 calories. Then the electron will not come out. Then what happens? What it will do? It will use these 2 calories to increase its internal energy, say changes in rotational energies or vibrational energies or excitation from one energy level to another energy level, but it will not come out from the atom. That means there will be no photoelectric effect. If the energy associated with the photon is not sufficient enough to overcome the nuclear attraction, then there will be no photoelectric effect. Case 3. Suppose if energy associated with the photon is 10 calories. So what we are doing? We are allowing the light radiation to fall on the metal. The energy associated with each photon is 10 calories. The energy associated with each photon is 10 calories. Now, electron absorbs the photon, gains how much energy? 10 calories. Is this 10 calories sufficient enough? Yes. It is greater than 5. So the electron will gain 10 calories. Some part of this 10 calories, that is 5 calories, will be used to overcome nuclear attraction. It will come out. The extra 5 calories will be used to increase its kinetic energy. The extra 5 calories will be utilized to increase its kinetic energy. So let us recollect what we have studied. We are allowing light radiation to fall. What happens? The valency electron, which is loosely held by the nucleus, which is under the influence of nucleus, right, will absorb the photon. If it gains sufficient energy to overcome nuclear attraction, then only it will come out. We have studied the same thing in 3 different cases. Case 1, before that, the energy required to overcome this nuclear attraction is, we assumed it as 5 calories. So case 1, energy associated photon is 5 calories. So you are allowing a light radiation where the energy of photon is 5. The electron absorbs the photon, gains this 5 calories. Is it sufficient enough? Yes, it is sufficient enough. The electron will come out, but it will not have any kinetic energy. Coming to case 2. Here we are assuming the same thing, right? Now energy associated with the photon is 2 calories. You are allowing a light radiation where each photon carries 2 calories. Each photon provides 2 calories. Electron absorbs the photon, gains these 2 calories. Now electron gained by the energy gained by the electron is 2 calories. Is it sufficient enough? No, because 2 is less than 5. Therefore, electron will not come out. It may undergo increase in its internal energy, but electron will not come out from the atom. Case 3. Here we are supplying a photon whose energy is 10 calories. Now the energy of photon is 10 calories. When it falls on this metal, electron absorbs photon whose energy is 10 calories. Now electron gains 10 calories of energy. Is it sufficient enough? Yes, 10 is greater than 5. So out of 10 calories, 5 calories will be utilized to overcome this nuclear attraction. It will come out. Still it possesses 5 calories. That 5 calories will be used to increase its kinetic energy. So if you understand carefully, the energy of photon is used in 2 ways. The energy of photon is used in 2 ways. One, to overcome the nuclear attraction. Second, to increase its kinetic energy. The energy of absorbed photon is used in 2 ways. What is the first one? To overcome nuclear attraction. Next, to increase the kinetic energy of photoelectron. To increase the kinetic energy of photoelectron. The energy of absorbed photon is used in 2 ways. One, to overcome the nuclear attraction. Second thing is to increase the kinetic energy. So to overcome nuclear attraction, here let us come back to the previous example. 5 calories is the minimum energy. In the first case, the energy of photon is 5 calories. So this is the minimum energy required to just knock out the electron. So the electron will overcome, but when it comes out, does it possess any kinetic energy? No, because whatever the energy that it has gained is completely used to overcome the nuclear attraction. So this is the minimum energy to overcome the nuclear attraction. This minimum energy we call it as work function. Minimum energy required to eject electron from metal is known as work function. work function denoted with letter pi. The minimum energy required to eject electron. Remember, the kinetic energy of ejected electron will be 0. It doesn't have any velocity. Such minimum energy we call it as work function. Right. Now, who has to provide this energy? Same, the photon has to provide both energies. If it provides, the required energy is 5 calories. If it provides 5 calories, all the 5 calories is utilized to overcome the nuclear attraction. So, this is the minimum energy, right. Now, how do you calculate work function? This is the equation. Same, energy of photon, this is also energy. Energy, minimum energy the photon should provide. That is nothing but h nu naught, or you can write it as hc by lambda naught. H is constant, Planck's constant. C constant. Nu naught is threshold frequency. Threshold wavelength. Once again, here electron is absorbing photon. The photon energy is used in two ways: to overcome the nuclear attraction, to increase the kinetic energy of photoelectron. So, first, whatever the energy that is absorbed, it is utilized to overcome the nuclear attraction. If the energy of photon is completely used to just overcome the nuclear attraction, then there will be no increase in its kinetic energy, or its velocity will be 0. That minimum energy which the photon possesses or is required to eject the electron, we call it as work function. Now, the frequency associated with this minimum energy, we call it as minimum frequency or threshold frequency, and the wavelength we have to call it as threshold wavelength or maximum wavelength. Why? Because energy is directly proportional to frequency, inversely proportional to wavelength. If I say minimum energy, so if these two are minimum, then wavelength should be maximum. So, this is how I have to define. The minimum energy required to eject electron from the metal is known as work function. The minimum frequency which the radiation, incident radiation must possess to eject the electron, threshold frequency. The maximum wavelength which the incident radiation must possess to eject the electron, we call it as threshold wavelength, because energy is inversely proportional to wavelength. If energy is minimum, then the wavelength should be maximum. The work function is characteristics of metal, or work function depends upon metal. Work function depends on nature of metal. That means if I change the metal, then the work function changes. Let us see how. Let us take first year group elements. What are first year group elements? Lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium. These are photosensitive metals. Why photosensitive? Because they readily eject electrons when light falls. Let us see why. So, let us consider this is lithium. Let us size of sodium is little bigger, potassium much bigger, rubidium, and lastly cesium. So, you can clearly see as the size of atom increases from lithium to cesium, the distance from the nucleus also increases, nothing but atomic radii increases. Ionization energy decreases. The energy required to remove electron from neutral gaseous atom decreases. So here also the work function decreases. What is work function? The energy required to just eject the electron. So in simpler words, work function is proportional to ionization energy. As the size increases, work function decreases. That means cesium requires less energy to eject the electron, or work function of cesium is less compared to remaining elements. Lithium requires more energy compared to these elements because its size is smaller. So work function is characteristic property and depends upon nature of metal. Each metal has its own work function, or we can say that work function is directly proportional to ionization energy. So let us come back to this. So energy of photon, absorbed photon is used in two ways. Let us assume energy of photon E. Energy of photon E. To overcome the nuclear attraction, that is nothing but work function, and to increase the kinetic energy. So this is the photoelectric equation. E is energy of photon associated with the incident radiation. Pi is work function, which is characteristic and depends upon nature of metal. Kinetic energy of the electron. So energy of photon of incident radiation, that means the radiation that is falling on the metal. Work function of metal. Kinetic energy of photoelectron. So how do you calculate energy of photon? H nu. Work function H nu naught. Kinetic energy half m v square. How do you calculate frequency when wavelength is given? Hc by lambda. Hc by lambda naught. Frequency of incident radiation. Frequency of incident radiation, threshold frequency, mass of electron, velocity of electron. Frequency of incident radiation, threshold frequency, that is this much minimum frequency it must possess, right? Mass of electron, velocity of electron. This is kinetic energy of electron, therefore this is mass of electron, velocity of electron. Wavelength of incident radiation, threshold wavelength, mass of electron, velocity of electron. So here we can plot a graph. So energy of photon minus work function. So this is of the type equation y equal to mx minus c. Y equal to mx minus c. So on x axis we are taking kinetic energy, On y-axis we are taking frequency. So we'll get a straight line with a negative intercept. This is nu naught and slope is h. So here, if I want, I will write here. Of metal. Right. Mass of electron, velocity of electron, lambda, wavelength of incident radiation, threshold wavelength of metal. Let us study two important points. What happens when you increase the energy of incident radiation? What happens when you increase the intensity of radiation? So, first one, when energy or frequency of incident radiation is increased, then what happens? So let us come back to this. So here let us consider this is the light radiation. Per unit time, say 6 photons are emitted. How many photons? 6 photons per unit time. Right. The energy associated with each photon, let us say 2 calories. Let us say 2 calories. What we are doing is, we are increasing the energy or frequency of incident radiation. That means we are increasing the energy associated with each photon. So the number of photons emitted per unit area per unit time, the number of photons emitted will be same. Per unit area per unit time, the number of photons emitted are 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here also it will be 6. What I am doing, I am increasing the energy or frequency. That means energy associated with each photon I am increasing. Say I am increasing to 4 calories. 4 calories. Now let us say work function of the metal is 1 calorie. Work function of the metal is 1 calorie. In the case 1, electron is emitted, because work function is 1 calorie, energy of photon is 2 calorie. Out of these 2 calories, 1 calorie is used to eject. Remaining 1 calorie will be utilized to increase the kinetic energy. So here 1 calorie of the absorbed photon is used to increase its kinetic energy. But when I come to here, when I increase the energy of incident radiation, the energy associated with each photon increases, but number of photons emitted per unit area per unit time will be same. How many photons are emitted here? 6. Say there are 6 photoelectrons with each having a kinetic energy of 1 calorie. 1 calorie of energy is used to increase its kinetic energy. Here also you will get 6 photoelectrons. Number of photons will not change, but the energy associated with each photon has increased. What is the work function? Since metal is same, work function will be same. Out of 4 calories, 1 for ejection of electron, remaining 3 calories will be used to increase kinetic energy. See the difference. When I increase the energy or frequency of incident radiation, number of photons emitted will be same. That means number of photoelectrons emitted will be same, but their kinetic energy will be different. Here 1 calorie will be used to increase the kinetic energy of photoelectrons. Here 3 calories will be utilized to increase the kinetic energy of each photoelectrons. Number of photoelectrons remains same. So let us combine. When energy or frequency of incident radiation is increased, then number of photoelectrons emitted will not change, but their kinetic energy increases. So the kinetic energy emitted, the kinetic energy of photoelectron is proportional to energy or frequency of incident radiation. In the second case, when intensity of incident radiation is increased, then what happens? So what is intensity? Number of photons emitted from the source per unit area per unit time. If I increase the intensity, more number of photons will be emitted per unit area per unit time. That means number of photons emitted per unit time will increase, but energy associated with each photon remains same. So let us come back here. I am taking the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 6 photons. Energy of each photon is, let us say, 2 calories. I am increasing the intensity of incident radiation, then what happens? The energy of photon will remain same. So instead of here, total 6 photons are emitted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 photons. Here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 photons are emitted. That means here you will get 6 photoelectrons. But here you will get 8 photoelectrons. The energy of photon will remain same. That means kinetic energy remains same. Number of photoelectrons increases. So the energy of photon will not change, but the number of photons emitted increases. So if you have more number of photons, then one electron absorbs 1 photon. Since you are providing more photons, more number of photoelectrons will be available or ejected. So here 6 photoelectrons are emitted, but kinetic energy remains same because energy of photon is same. Say work function is also 1 calorie. So kinetic energy remains same. Right. When intensity of incident radiation increases, then the number of photons emitted increases, but the energy of photon remains same. Hence, kinetic energy remains same, but photoelectric current increases because you have more number of photoelectrons. So these are the two important points. So kinetic energy increases with increase in energy or frequency of incident radiation, but is not affected by intensity of incident radiation. Number of photoelectrons do not increase with increase in energy or frequency, but increases with intensity of incident radiation.